The city's breath, a metallic exhalation of exhaust and damp concrete, greets you as you step from the vehicle. Above, the glass and steel pinnacle of Thorne Tower pierces the bruised twilight, its upper floors a silent sentinel against the fading light. A familiar ache, a phantom weight from cases long closed, settles behind your eyes. This weariness is a constant companion, a shadow stretching longer with each passing year, yet it never dulls the edge of your perception. You are Dean Harrison, and the grim dance of death still calls to you with an insistent rhythm. Your junior partner, Detective Miller, a younger man whose energy still hums with an unmarred idealism, waits beyond the yellow tape. His posture is stiff, a tension in his shoulders that speaks of the scene within. He nods a silent greeting, his gaze meeting yours with an unspoken urgency. "Dean," he begins, his voice low. "It's something else." You offer a curt nod, the cold night air biting at your exposed skin. The building's lobby, usually a symphony of hushed efficiency, is now a tableau of hushed chaos. Uniformed officers move with practiced solemnity, their radios crackling with clipped commands. You flash your shield, a glint of polished metal under the stark overhead lights, and are waved through, the elevator doors sliding open with a soft sigh. The ascent is swift, a silent climb through the spine of power. The air here is different, thinner, charged with an electric stillness. The hushed urgency intensifies. The very atmosphere seems to hold its breath. You step into the penthouse boardroom during an emergency call, and the world contracts around the grim tableau. A single colossal screen, still displaying a complex financial graph, casts an eerie blue glow over the scene. The room speaks of high-stakes decisions, of fortunes forged and lost, of a life lived at the precipice of influence. And at the center of it all, sprawled across the immaculate expanse of the custom-built conference table, lies Elias Thorne. His body is a grotesque centerpiece, a stark contrast to the room's pristine order. His eyes, wide and unseeing, stare at the vaulted ceiling, reflecting the distant city lights like twin dead stars. No, not a stain, a wound, a precise, brutal puncture, every inch. You move deliberately, your eyes absorbing every detail, a relentless internal camera recording the scene. The subtle scent of stale coffee mingles with something sharper, coppery. Elias Thorne, the titan of tech, the architect of digital empires, lies lifeless, his hand still clutched around a discarded data chip, its surface glinting faintly. It's a detail your mind files away, a tiny anomaly in the larger puzzle. His expensive suit is unrumpled, his tie still perfectly knotted. There's no sign of a struggle, no overturned chairs, no scattered papers beyond what might be expected from a high-pressure meeting. It's too neat, too undisturbed for a violent end. And the room? You ask, your voice a low rasp that cuts through the quiet. Miller gestures with a gloved hand towards the entrance. Sealed. Every lock engaged from the inside. The primary door, reinforced steel, deadbolted. The secondary service entrance, same story. Even the emergency exit, alarmed and bolted from within. Windows are triple-paned, shatterproof, and electronically sealed. No ventilation shafts large enough for even a child. The building manager confirmed the system logs. No forced entry, no unauthorized access since Thorne himself entered hours ago. You approach the main entrance, your fingers tracing the cold metal of the doorframe. The mechanism feels solid, uncompromised. Your gaze travels to the electronic panel beside it, its green light indicating full security. A wave of cool air emanates from the internal climate control system, yet a shiver runs down your spine. A knot tightens in your gut. This isn't just a murder, it's a defiant riddle flung directly into your face. No key found on him, or anywhere in the room, Miller adds, anticipating your next question. The building manager had to override the system from the central control to get us in. Said Thorne was the only one with access codes to this floor, and they were changed daily. You circle the table, your eyes scanning the faces of the technicians, the uniformed officers. Each one carries the same bewildered expression. An impossible crime. A man dead in a fortress with no apparent killer, no weapon, no exit. Your gaze falls upon the discarded data chip again, still gripped tightly in Thorne's stiffening fingers. It's small, unassuming, yet it feels significant. 15 years. And I want the building's complete security logs for the last 72 hours. Every camera feed, every access card swipe. You turn back to Thorne, his unseeing eyes a silent challenge. An impossible crime, yes. But Dean Harrison has always found a way to pry open the most stubborn of secrets. The game has begun. The chill of the penthouse air met you, a stark, clinical embrace after the humid city night. Below, the urban sprawl pulsed, a tapestry of indifferent light, while up here, in Elias Thorne's rarefied eerie, a different kind of quiet settled, heavy with unspoken questions. Your gaze swept past the main living space, a testament to minimalist opulence, polished marble floors mirroring the ceiling's recessed glow. Abstract sculptures poised like silent sentinels, an echo of the man who had called this extravagance home. The forensics team moved with practiced grace, a ballet of gloved hands and flashing cameras, their movements a muted counterpoint to the city's distant thrum. Each click of a camera shutter, each whispered instruction from the lead investigator, seemed to underscore the profound stillness of the place. They cataloged the obvious, the disarray of a turned-over coffee table, the shattered remnants of a crystal vase near the balcony, the scattered papers that hinted at a struggle or a frantic search. Yet, your eyes sought a different narrative, a whisper beneath the clamor. Even from the doorway, the room exuded an aura of contained power. On the table's surface, a high-fidelity comms console pulsed with a soft green light, its display showing a log of unanswered calls, the most recent one a mere 3 minutes before your team's arrival. The lead investigator, a meticulous man with eyes that missed nothing on a surface level, was already at the far end of the room, examining a secure server rack built seamlessly into the wall. And the main door's lock was picked clean. Professional job. Looks like a robbery gone sideways, maybe. Or a very elaborate cover. He ran a gloved finger along a metal seam, a gesture of precise scrutiny. You moved past him, your attention less on the obvious points of entry and more on the subtle dissonances. The air here carried a faint scent of ozone, mingled with the expensive, almost sterile fragrance of the apartment's automated cleaning system. Your gaze drifted over the array of high-tech devices embedded in the boardroom walls. Holographic projectors, touch-screen displays, and an impressive network of server blades, all designed for seamless, high-stakes communication. Each piece of equipment seemed to hum with a latent energy, a silent testament to Thorne's formidable reach. As you turned it over in your hands, your thumb brushed against a barely perceptible irregularity on its smooth, matte back. Not a scratch, not a manufacturing defect. You brought the tablet closer to your eyes, tilting it to catch the subtle play of light from the overhead fixtures. There, etched with precision into the surface, was a symbol. It wasn't a corporate logo, nor was it a common icon. It was small, almost invisible unless sought, yet it carried an undeniable weight, a deliberate placement. It spoke of intent, not accident. The lead investigator glanced over. "Find something, Dean?" he asked, his tone even, accustomed to your particular brand of observation. You didn't answer immediately. Your mind was already sifting through the layers, discarding the simplistic narratives. Robbery? Suicide? Neither fit the quiet, almost arrogant confidence of that etched symbol. It was a signature, a brand, yet unlike anything you'd ever seen in the legitimate tech world. This wasn't a random vandal's mark. This was specific. This was placed. Just a detail, you murmured, turning the tablet again in your hand, feeling the subtle raised edges of the symbol against your skin. It was out of place, a discord in the symphony of Thorne's meticulously curated environment. Your mind, a finely tuned instrument of deduction, began to hum. This symbol, so carefully hidden yet present, felt like a deliberate breadcrumb, or perhaps a warning. Thorne's unseeing eyes, reflecting the city's indifferent glow, had presented a challenge. The game, you realized, had just entered its true perilous phase. Around you, the murmur of the forensics team and the lead detective's clipped tones wove a tapestry of urgent inquiry. But your attention remained tethered to a detail, a subtle dissonance in the symphony of Thorne's carefully curated existence. The primary investigator, a woman whose sharp intellect was matched only by her weary cynicism, gestured towards a holographic display hovering above the table's center. "The system logs are clean, Dean. Too clean. It's like he vanished from his own network without a trace, yet his biometrics were the only ones that accessed the secure room." You nodded, your eyes not on the projected data streams, but on a secondary screen, flickering with a live feed from Thorne's personal terminal. It was a detail others might dismiss as a minor glitch, a visual artifact of a corrupted file, but to you, it sang a discordant note. Nestled within a complex cascade of code, barely visible unless you knew precisely what to seek, was a symbol. Not a letter, not a number, but a stylized mark, an elegant, almost calligraphic flourish that seemed utterly out of place amidst the stark, utilitarian lines of Thorne's custom OS. It was a single, perfect helix, rendered in an almost anachronistic copper hue, shimmering briefly before fading back into the digital noise. Your breath hitched, a silent catch in your throat. The air in the boardroom, once merely cool, now felt thin, charged with an unspoken electricity. The helix. Not just any helix, but that helix. The specific curvature, the subtle break in its line, the way it seemed to coil inward upon itself. It was an imprint etched not just on a screen, but on the very fabric of your memory. 15 years. 15 years of dust and silence and the gnawing ache of an unsolved riddle. 15 years since you last saw that symbol. The boardroom faded, the voices of your colleagues dissolving into a distant echo. You were no longer in Thorne's opulent eyrie, but in a cluttered, sun-drenched apartment, the air thick with the scent of old paper and forgotten coffee. Sarah Vance. Her face, vivid as if it were yesterday, flashed behind your eyes. Bright, inquisitive, framed by a cascade of auburn hair. You saw her hunched over a desk, a kaleidoscope of notes and articles spread before her, a determined furrow in her brow. And then, the discovery. Not a body, not a struggle, but a meticulously organized chaos. Among her scattered research, tucked inside a worn, leather-bound journal, almost hidden beneath a scrawled question mark, was a crudely drawn sketch. The very same helix. You had dismissed it then, a journalist's doodle, a cryptic shorthand for some forgotten thought. The lead detective at the time, a gruff veteran on the verge of retirement, had seen it as nothing more than an abstract design, a meaningless squiggle amidst a sea of information. But you, even then, had felt a prickle of unease, a sense of something significant slipping through your grasp. Now the symbol on Thorne's screen burned with a terrible clarity. It was the same, unmistakably. A ghost from your past, resurrected in the most impossible of circumstances. He had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only that enigmatic symbol and a case that had haunted your waking hours and invaded your sleep for a decade and a half. This wasn't just a coincidence. It couldn't be. The meticulous nature of Thorne's murder, the impossible locked room, the calculated precision. It all spoke of an intelligence, a methodical cruelty that now felt terrifyingly familiar. Sarah had been investigating something vast, something dangerous, and this symbol, this silent signature, linked her disappearance directly to Elias Thorne's death. Dean? The lead detective's voice cut through the fog of your memories, pulling you back to the present, the sterile glow of the boardroom. You seem distracted. Anything specific you're seeing in the logs? You tore your gaze from the screen, forcing your expression into a neutral mask. The urge to shout, to explain the impossible connection, warred with a primal instinct for caution. This was too big, too raw. Not yet. Just a visual anomaly you managed, your voice tighter than you intended. A glitch in the rendering. Probably nothing. You glanced back at the screen, the copper helix now gone, submerged once more beneath the digital tide. But you knew it was there. You knew what it meant. The lead detective shrugged, dismissing your observation, turning her attention back to the broader picture of network access and physical security. But for you, the case had just twisted into a new, far more dangerous shape. The professional distance you usually maintained, the detached logic of an investigator, had shattered. This was no longer just about Elias Thorne. It was about Sarah. It was about redemption. They were connected to a ghost, and you were about to drag that ghost back into the unforgiving glare of the present. The tension in the room was palpable, but the true battle, you realized, had just begun within you. The air, thick with the scent of stale coffee and unaddressed urgency, felt heavy around you. You watched the pixelated image of the captain, his features etched with a grim resolve, dominate the central panel. Around the polished mahogany table, other detectives, their expressions ranging from weary to alert, tracked the conversation. Your own gaze, however, kept returning to the phantom symbol, a burning ember behind your eyes. A high-profile target. The captain's voice crackled through the speakers, devoid of its usual warmth. The pressure is immense. Every resource, every available operative is to be focused on Elias Thorne. We need a swift, definitive resolution. You felt the words like an invisible gauntlet, challenging the silent conviction growing within you. The urge, previously a whisper, now swelled into a roaring demand. This wasn't just about Thorne. It couldn't be. You cleared your throat, the sound surprisingly loud in the hushed room. Every eye, both virtual and present, swiveled to you. The captain's image on the screen paused, a flicker of impatience crossing his brow. I've found something that might connect Thorne's death to an older case. The detective sitting opposite you, a younger man with an eager, almost aggressive posture, shifted in his seat. The captain's digital frown deepened. Dean, he stated, his tone flat. We're discussing a current, active murder investigation. One that has the city's elite breathing down our necks. This is not the time for speculative tangents. It's not speculation, sir, you pressed, the words tumbling out before caution could reclaim its grip. There's a symbol hidden in Thorne's study. It's identical to one found at the last known location of Sarah Vance, the investigative journalist who disappeared 15 years ago. The air in the boardroom solidified into an almost palpable wall of disbelief. The younger detective scoffed, a low, dismissive sound. Miller, seated beside you, offered a subtle, almost imperceptible shake of his head, a silent warning to retreat. But you were past retreat. Sarah Vance? The captain's voice was laced with an incredulity that bordered on irritation. That case was exhausted, Dean. Every lead pursued, every stone overturned. You found none. Only professional skepticism and the grim resolve to ignore anything that complicated the immediate task. Coincidence, Dean, or a desperate attempt to force a connection where none exists, the captain countered, his patience clearly wearing thin. We have a very specific set of circumstances here. A locked room, a high-value target, no clear motive beyond corporate rivalry. Your focus, and everyone else's, needs to be laser-sharp on Thorne. Do not, under any circumstances, allow this. The meeting continued, the discussion reverting to the immediate details of Thorne's security, his associates, his enemies. They wouldn't see it. They wouldn't allow it. But you couldn't unsee what you had witnessed. When the emergency call concluded and the boardroom began to empty, you lingered. Miller approached, his hands shoved into his pockets, his expression a mixture of concern and resignation. "You know he's right, Dean," Miller said softly, his voice barely a murmur. "The captain, I mean. We can't chase phantoms right now." "It's not a phantom, Miller. It's a thread. A loose end that just tied itself to a new knot." Miller sighed, running a hand over his tired face. "Look, I get it. Vance's case, it stuck with you. But you heard the order. Focus on Thorne, solely on Thorne." You nodded slowly, a carefully constructed mask of compliance settling over your features. The system, the bureaucracy, the red tape, they were a formidable opponent, but not insurmountable. Not when the truth felt so close, so vital. Later that evening, long after the official channels had closed and the building had settled into its nocturnal quiet, you found yourself in the archives. The fluorescent lights hummed with a low, constant drone, illuminating rows of meticulously organized files. The air here was dry, carrying the faint, papery scent of forgotten histories. You navigated the labyrinthine shelves, your fingers tracing the spines of old case folders until you found it. The thick, yellow dossier marked Vance Sarah Missing Person. Pulling it free, you felt the weight of 15 years of unanswered questions in your hands. This was a dangerous path, operating outside the official mandate, risking censure and worse. But the image of that shared symbol, a silent scream across the chasm of time, compelled you forward. You carried the file back to your secluded corner of the bullpen, the single lamp on your desk casting a pool of intimate light. Miller, still hunched over his own screen, ostensibly reviewing Thorne's financial records, glanced up as you settled in. His eyes flickered to the Vance file, then back to his monitor. A slow, almost imperceptible nod passed between you. He didn't question, didn't comment. But the silent acknowledgement, the shared understanding of a boundary being crossed, was a fragile, nascent alliance. The city, a sprawling tapestry of electric light and silent ambition, stretched endlessly beneath you. The air, usually thick with the scent of polished wood and stale ambition, now carried the sharper tang of cold coffee and an unspoken urgency. Each click of the keyboard, each whispered instruction from the analyst beside you, felt amplified in the late hour, a staccato rhythm against the muted hum of the servers. The analyst, a figure of quiet intensity, his movements precise and economical, navigated through layers of corporate filings and communication logs. Fresh incorporation, barely 6 months old. You leaned closer, the ghost of Sarah Vance's determined eyes in your mind's periphery. Your own screen displayed the digitized remnants of her 15-year-old investigation. Scanned notebooks, fragmented emails, a web of connections that had once seemed too vast to untangle. You ran cross-references, not just for names, but for patterns, for the subtle echoes of a methodology. You were hunting for a ghost in 2 separate machines, yet the conviction that they were intertwined deepened with every passing minute. Cross-reference that Cayman entity, you instructed, your voice raspy from hours of strained focus. Look for any overlap with the names Vance flagged in her early Obsidian Group inquiries. Not just directorships, but legal counsel, financial advisors, even third-party auditors. The analyst nodded, his gaze unwavering. Lines of code scrolled, algorithms churned. The silence stretched, punctuated only by the soft whir of cooling fans and the distant wail of a siren, a fleeting lament in the urban night. Then, a subtle shift on the screen. A name, initially a minor player in Thorne's labyrinthine corporate structure, began to flicker with more prominence. Aurelius Finch, not a direct employee of Thorne's, but the corporate counsel for several of his more opaque ventures. Finch, the analyst stated, his finger hovering over the illuminated text. He handled the legal work for Thorne's new holding company, the one acquiring those data analytics firms. A jolt, sharp and sudden, coursed through you. You remembered that name, not from Thorne's recent files, but from Vance's. 15 years ago, Finch had briefly appeared in her notes, identified as the facilitator for a series of discrete property acquisitions linked to the Obsidian Group. At the time, it had seemed like a dead end, a peripheral figure. Now the threads began to draw taut. "Pull up everything on Finch," you commanded, the words escaping in a low rush. "Every case, every client, every shell corporation he's ever touched." The digital search expanded, consuming more processing power. As Finch's professional history unfurled, a pattern emerged, stark and undeniable. He was a master of obscuring ownership, of creating legal bulwarks around assets that preferred to remain unseen. And nestled within a particularly complex web of his former clients, you found it. A dormant shell corporation, its name innocuous, Viridian Solutions, yet its structure mirroring the intricate, almost artistic complexity of Thorne's current ventures. Viridian Solutions, you breathed, pointing to the screen. Vance suspected this entity was used for early-stage data harvesting. She couldn't prove it, but her notes suggest it was a testing ground for the Obsidian Group's information-gathering methods. The analyst clicked, drilling down into Viridian Solutions' historical filings. The format, the specific encryption protocols, they were archaic by today's standards. Strikingly similar to a subset of data found on Thorne's private server. The very data you'd been unable to fully decrypt. "This is it," the analyst confirmed, his voice laced with a new kind of gravity. "The protocols match. Viridian Solutions was a direct precursor, a proof of concept for the data infrastructure Thorne was now building. And Finch was the architect, legally speaking." The pieces slammed together with an audible force in your mind. Sarah Vance hadn't merely been investigating the shadowy Obsidian Group as a general threat. He had been specifically tracking its nascent stages, its initial forays into corporate espionage and data manipulation, directly linking it to the legal machinations of Elias Finch. And through Finch, he had, inevitably, been closing in on Elias Thorne, even before he became the tech titan he was at his death. Thorne's death wasn't a random act, nor was it merely a power struggle within his own company. It was a direct consequence. He had been a key player in the Obsidian Group's expansion, perhaps even its architect, and Vance had been on his trail for 15 years. The tension in the room thickened, a palpable weight. The city lights outside seemed to mock the fragile light of your screens. The web wasn't just unraveling, it was tightening, pulling you deeper into its deadly threads. The connection, a cold, sharp blade, slices through the fog of 15 years. Sarah Vance, Elias Thorne, the Obsidian Group. The pieces coalesce, not merely fitting, but locking into an unyielding structure within your mind. She hadn't been chasing shadows. He had been tracking the very genesis of this sprawling entity, its tendrils just beginning to unfurl into the corporate world, manipulating data, twisting power. Her disappearance was no random act, no tragic accident. It was a silencing, a calculated erasure. The air hums with the low thrum of the building's machinery, a counterpoint to the frantic rhythm of your thoughts. The detective, your colleague, watches you, his brow furrowed, a silent question in his eyes. Sarah Vance wasn't just investigating a group, you articulate, the words tasting like ash. He was investigating them, 15 years ago. Before they were a name whispered in hushed tones, before they became this phantom menace. The detective leans forward, his posture reflecting your own intensity. Meaning Thorne wasn't just a victim of corporate espionage, he was a threat to them, or he knew something that made him one. He knew too much, you confirm, the realization hardening your resolve. Or he was about to reveal too much. And the locked room. It was a statement. You are no longer just investigating a murder. You are dismantling a conspiracy that reaches further and deeper than you could have imagined. The emergency call concludes with a sterile click, the voice on the other end offering little solace, only more procedural demands. You rise, the fatigue of the day etched into your bones, but determination a fiery core within you. A faint, almost imperceptible scent of something alien. Not quite dust, not quite cleaning fluid, prickles at your nose. Your eyes, trained to notice the smallest deviation, sweep the room. Nothing seems overtly out of place. The framed photograph of your younger self and Sarah, smiling brightly, still rests on the mantelpiece. The stack of reports on your coffee table appears undisturbed. Yet, a subtle disquiet begins to prickle at the back of your neck. You walk to your desk, the surface of which you left meticulously organized this morning. Your antique silver letter opener, a gift from your grandfather, usually rests diagonally across a stack of unopened mail. Now it lies perfectly parallel, aligned with the edge of the blotter. A minute detail, easily dismissed, but in your world, such precision speaks volumes. You pick it up, the cool metal a familiar weight. Beneath it, where there should have been only the polished wood, rests a single obsidian-smooth stone. It's small, no larger than your thumbnail, perfectly black, with an almost glassy sheen. It was not there this morning. It is a symbol, a calling card, a warning. Nothing was stolen. They had been here. They had watched you. They knew. A shudder, involuntary and brief, traces a path down your spine. This wasn't a random burglar. This was a deliberate act of intimidation, precise and personal. The next morning, the detective's call reaches you as you are brewing a pot of strong coffee, the aroma doing little to dispel the lingering unease from the previous night. "You okay, Dean?" His voice, usually steady, carries an edge of strain. "Define okay," you respond, your gaze drifting to the obsidian stone you've placed on your kitchen counter. "Every turn I made, every stop, until I lost it near the docks." Your grip tightens on the phone. "And did you report it?" "Without proof, just a gut feeling, they'd laugh me out of the precinct," he sighs. But it wasn't just a feeling, Dean. It was too persistent, too professional. "They're watching us," you state, the words flat, devoid of surprise. A sharp intake of breath on the other end. "A warning shot," the detective mutters. "They don't want us connecting Thorne to Sarah Vance. But they made a mistake. They showed their hand. They confirmed we're on the right track." The detective is silent for a moment. Then his voice comes back, low and resolute. "So, what's our next move, Dean? We've got a target on our backs now." You look at the obsidian stone, its smooth surface reflecting a distorted sliver of your face. A threat, but also a confirmation. You are facing a known enemy, and the memory of Sarah Vance, vibrant and fearless, burns brighter than ever. "We move forward," you declare, the words laced with an unwavering resolve. We show them that their warnings won't work. You pick up the stone, its weight surprisingly light, and tuck it into your pocket. A reminder. A promise. The obsidian stone, cold and unyielding in your palm, is a silent promise. Its polished surface, a dark mirror, reflects the sharp glint in your eye, a determination forged in the crucible of 15 years. The vast space, usually reserved for calculated power plays, now hums with a different kind of energy. Screens glow with frantic data streams, a constellation of digital light in the dim room. The city sprawls beneath the panoramic windows, oblivious to the quiet war being waged within these walls. The air smells of ozone and stale coffee, a scent that now signifies the relentless pursuit of truth. A colleague, her fingers dancing across a keyboard with a focused intensity, glances up as you enter. "Dean, we're in deep. Thorne's digital footprint is a labyrinth, but we're finding threads. He is Miller, a digital architect, her mind a fortress of code and algorithms. The lines of exhaustion etched around her eyes speak of hours spent dissecting encrypted layers, peeling back the digital skin of a dead man's secrets. Everything. Miller gestures to the main display, where a complex web of connections begins to manifest. Thorne wasn't just a CEO, he was a node, a central processing unit for something vast. We've traced encrypted communications, shell corporations, data packets routed through ghost servers in half a dozen countries. They buy companies not for their products, but for their user bases, their proprietary information, their intellectual property. Then they sculpt it. Sculpt it? You echo, your gaze fixed on the flashing anomalies. They refine the data, Dean. Filter it, repackage it, use it to influence market trends, political narratives, even public opinion. He built the pipelines, the encryption, the very architecture of their control. The pieces begin to coalesce, forming a grim mosaic. The call connects, a crackle of static, then a low, gravelly voice. Dean, what do you need? I'm chasing a phantom, an organization that deals in data and influence. Obsidian-like, very dangerous. They call themselves the Obsidian Group. They're not just a corporation, they're an ecosystem. They thrive on information asymmetry. They acquire, they manipulate, they control. They operate with impunity, their tendrils reaching into every sector. Politicians, media, tech giants, they're all either on the payroll or under their thumb. Elias Thorne was a key player in their data intelligence division. Expendable. The word hangs in the air, a grim pronouncement. You look at Miller, who has been listening intently, her face pale. The Obsidian Group, you state, the name now having a tangible, terrifying weight. They operate globally. He knew too much, or perhaps he became a liability. He was a piece on their board, and they removed him. Miller points to a cluster of older, more heavily encrypted files that her programs are still struggling to decrypt. And these older files, Dean, they have a timestamp from 15 years ago. They're tied to a series of investigations into corporate malfeasance, a network of shell companies and offshore accounts that were, at the time, impossible to fully unravel. The lead journalist on that story, your breath catches. You know the name before she even says it. He was getting too close. The Obsidian Group. They didn't just disappear her, they buried her investigation. The air crackles with the immense gravity of the revelation. The determined glint in your eye hardens into an unwavering resolve. They took Sarah Vance, and now you are coming for them. The hunt has truly begun. The profound silence of the room, that heavy blanket woven from the hum of servers and the distant city's drone, shatters with the insistent trill of the secure line. The revelation of the Shadow Empire, its roots entangled deep within the very fabric of global power, still reverberates in your chest, a cold echo of a truth too vast to fully grasp. Yet, the world outside demands your attention, a relentless current pulling you forward. The air, once thick with the weight of discovery, now crackles with renewed urgency. Across the polished obsidian table, the detective, his brow furrowed, gestures towards the blinking screen. Dean, his voice is a low rasp. Our data specialist just flagged something. A pattern. Elias Thorne's company, and by extension, the Obsidian Group, has a history of restructuring employees who dig too deep. Your gaze falls upon the holographic display, a lattice of interconnected data points. Just deleted. This isn't just a disgruntled employee. This is a ghost from the machine, a potential witness buried alive by digital erasure. Find her, you command. Your voice steady despite the tremor of anticipation that courses through you. Every last digital breadcrumb, every physical address, every burner phone, every forgotten social media account. The search is a frantic scramble against time. a digital excavation through layers of obfuscation. Hours bleed into a relentless blur. Off-grid, the data specialist admits, rubbing her temples, but I found a recurring payment, small, untraceable, to a storage unit in the old industrial district, and a single encrypted email sent a week ago to an anonymous account containing only a date and a time. Tomorrow night, 23 Gas. No location. A meetup, the detective surmises, his eyes narrowing. She's trying to make contact, but she's terrified. She's leaving just enough for someone to find her, but not enough to be easily tracked by her former employers. Tomorrow night, you muse, the phrase hanging in the air like a premonition. She's testing the waters. If we show up, it means we're serious. If the Obsidian group shows up first. The plan forms in the quiet intensity of the penthouse boardroom. You will be the one to meet her. No visible support, no communication beyond a dead man's switch. The risk is palpable, a live wire humming with danger. You navigate the winding streets, your senses heightened, every flicker of movement, every unexpected sound, a potential threat. The rendezvous point, an overgrown, deserted section of the city park, feels like the edge of the world. The air is damp, carrying the scent of wet earth and decaying leaves. Overhead, the moon is a sliver of bone, offering little illumination. You arrive precisely at 22:55, 5 minutes early. Your hand rests on the cold metal of your sidearm, a familiar weight. Nothing. Then a faint rustle, not from the bushes, but from behind a gnarled oak tree. A figure emerges, hesitant, a silhouette against the faint city glow. It is Lena Petrova. He is smaller than you imagined, her frame hunched, her shoulders pulled tight, as if trying to shrink from the world. Her eyes, wide and luminous with fear, dart frantically, assessing her surroundings, then fixing on you. An observation laced with a fragile hope. You took a risk, Lena. You respond, keeping your voice low, steady, reassuring. Why now? He clutches a worn leather bag to his chest, him knuckles white. They're moving faster than I thought. He begins, him words tumbling out in a rush, a desperate floodgate opening. The Obsidian Group. Thorne was a puppet, a valuable one, but a puppet nonetheless. The real power, the architect, he operates in the deep web, a ghost in the machine. We called him the Weaver. Your mind latches onto the code name, a new thread in the intricate tapestry of this conspiracy. The Weaver. You repeat, testing the sound. What do you know about him? He's the one who orchestrates the data manipulation, the corporate takeovers. She explains, her gaze still skittering around, her fear a palpable thing. He has a core team, a council of threads, his top lieutenants. Each one manages a different aspect. Finance, logistics, intelligence. Thorne was Thread Alpha for a while until he started asking too many questions about the true scope of their operation. He was trying to pivot, to leverage his position to... Lena flinches. Vance, she breathes. He was getting too close to Thorne's early data streams before he was fully integrated. She found inconsistencies, anomalies in the market. He was trying to link them back to a shell company. Project Chimera. That's what they called it internally. It was the first major data acquisition project for the Obsidian Group. The Weaver shut her down, made her disappear, as an example. Thorne knew. He was part of it, one of the early engineers. The pieces click into place, a horrifying mosaic of corporate greed and ruthless elimination. A synchronized attack designed to collapse markets, trigger panic, and allow them to funnel trillions into untraceable accounts. It's set for 3 days from now, from an abandoned factory on the old waterfront. A global financial collapse, engineered from a forgotten industrial shell. The stakes have never been higher, and you, Dean Harrison, are standing in its path. The panoramic windows, usually a canvas of city lights, now reflect only your grim reflection. a specter of a man staring into a precipice. The speaker crackles with the clipped urgency of the chief's voice, detailing the global financial ramifications, the delicate threads of power already fraying. You listen, but your mind is already miles away, already in motion. The operative, the exchange, the last desperate chance. We move now, you state, cutting through the droning analysis, your voice a low rasp that silences the room. The chief's sigh echoes through the line, a weary acknowledgement of the inevitable. Beside you, the detective, Miller, secures her vest, her movements precise, almost mechanical. Her eyes, usually so sharp, hold a glint of steel that mirrors your own resolve. This wasn't just an interception. It was a surgical strike at the heart of their looming catastrophe. The drive is a blur of city lights giving way to the skeletal frames of dormant factories. The air grows heavy, thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying metal. Your hands grip the steering wheel, knuckles white, a silent prayer forming on your lips. Not for safety. You cut the engine a block away, plunging the street into a sudden, profound quiet. The only sound is the rhythmic thud of your own pulse against your eardrums. Synchronized, silent, swift. The concrete beneath your boots is rough, uneven. The air inside the warehouse is stale, a graveyard of industrial dreams. Dust motes dance in the weak shafts of moonlight piercing the grimy skylights. Ahead, bathed in the anemic glow of a single hanging bulb, the operative stands, a lean silhouette hunched over a portable terminal, fingers dancing across a keyboard. The data exchange is underway. Now, you breathe into your comms, a ghost of a sound. You move, a predator in your element, weapon raised, every sense screaming. Miller's voice, a faint confirmation, crackles in your ear. Victory feels within reach, a tangible thing. Then the world explodes. Not from the operative, not from the silent watcher. From above. A hail of splintered wood and falling debris erupts from the rafters, followed by the deafening crack of gunfire from unseen angles. The air fills with the acrid scent of gunpowder. You instinctively drop, rolling behind a stack of rusted barrels, the metallic clang echoing the chaos. This isn't an interception. It's an ambush. A trap. Through the maelstrom, you see the operative, startled but not surprised, scramble to disconnect the terminal. The silent watcher, revealed now as a burly enforcer, covers their retreat, unleashing a volley of fire towards Miller's position. "Miller!" you yell, your voice raw with alarm. Her return fire is sporadic, muffled by the din. The ambushers are numerous, well-placed. They knew you were coming. The bitter truth curdles in your stomach. Then, a glint. The captain. He stands near a secondary exit, a position that should have been sealed, a position he was assigned to secure. He watches the operative and the enforcer flee, not moving, not reacting. His weapon remains holstered, his gaze strangely placid as the ambushers focus their fire, not on the fleeing targets, but on you and Miller. Betrayal. The captain, a man whose hand you'd shaken 1,000 times, whose counsel you'd trusted, whose back you'd guarded. He let them escape. He set this. A sudden, sharp cry slices through the noise. Miller, the enforcer, having ensured the operative's escape, turns, aiming a final lethal shot at her. Rage, pure and undiluted, surges through you, eclipsing all else. You erupt from cover, a single-minded missile. The world narrows to the enforcer's silhouette, the glint of his weapon. You fire, a controlled burst, 2 shots tearing through the air, finding their mark. The enforcer stumbles, drops, a dead weight. You reach Miller, dropping beside her, assessing the damage. The warehouse is a wreck, splintered wood, spent casings, and the lingering smell of cordite. The operative is gone. The data exchange, likely completed. You tear a strip from your shirt, binding Miller's wound, your hand steady despite the tremor that runs through your core. Your jaw is clenched so tight it aches. The realization is a lead weight in your chest, a poison seeping into every vein. The world, already teetering on the brink of collapse, now feels profoundly, terrifyingly personal. The Obsidian Group isn't just an external enemy. Its tendrils have reached deep, twisting around the very foundations of your trust, your world. And you, Dean Harrison, are left standing amidst the wreckage, a bitter taste of betrayal on your tongue, and a new, more dangerous hunt beginning. The acrid scent of spent gunpowder still clung to your clothes, a phantom limb of the chaos that had just unfurled. Splintered wood lay like fallen soldiers, and the silence, when it finally descended, was heavier than the gunfire it replaced. The operative was gone, a ghost slipping through your grasp, and with them, the bulk of the data. A bitter taste coated your tongue, the sting of a near miss, a betrayal that echoed in the empty space where victory should have been. Yet, as your gaze swept over the wreckage, a flicker ignited within you. Not defeat, but a rekindled fire, sharpened by the setback. You would not let this stand. Beside you, the colleague Miller, a steadfast shadow, moved with a quiet efficiency, his own face grim but resolute. A glint under an overturned pallet, a small metallic flash. You knelt, fingers brushing aside dust and fragments of concrete. It was a data chip, small enough to be a forgotten tooth, partially melted, corrupted, yet stubbornly clinging to a sliver of its secrets. The operative, in their haste or their panic, had failed to completely eradicate it. Back at a makeshift command post, the air hummed with the low thrum of servers. Miller, his brow furrowed in concentration, worked with the meticulous patience of a watchmaker. Hours bled into one another, marked only by the deepening circles under your eyes and the growing pile of empty coffee cups. You watched him, a silent sentinel, as he coaxed life back into the damaged chip, line by agonizing line of code. Then, a sudden sharp intake of breath from Miller. "Dean," he said, his voice hushed with a dawning revelation. "Look at this." On the screen, a fragment of an access log glowed, a sequence of alphanumeric characters unlike anything you'd seen in the corporate data Thorne had held. It wasn't a key to a server farm or a financial ledger. This was something deeper, more protected. "It's a system identifier," Miller explained, his finger tracing the glowing characters. "Highly restricted, used for government-level networks, secure communications protocols. Only a handful of individuals would have legitimate access to a key like this. We're talking top tier." Your mind, a relentless machine, began to turn. Government-level access, manipulation of corporate data and power. The Obsidian Group's reach extended far beyond simple corporate espionage. They were pulling strings from the very highest echelons. You thought of Elias Thorne, his carefully constructed public persona, his hidden vulnerabilities. The pieces began to fall into place, not with a gentle click, but with the brutal force of a hammer blow. The names, the faces, the public statements, the subtle shifts in policy that had always seemed to benefit certain entities. It wasn't just about Thorne. It was about the architecture of power itself. Your gaze sharpened, focusing on the implications of that access code. Who had the authority, the public trust, and the hidden ambition to wield such a tool for such a purpose? Who could orchestrate a network of data manipulation and corporate control while maintaining an impeccable facade of public service? The answer, when it crystallized, was a bitter pill. It was the chief prosecutor, the very architect of the public campaigns against corporate corruption, the one who had so publicly mourned Elias Thorne's death and vowed to bring his killer to justice. Essential personnel only. The chief prosecutor included. Your voice was low, laced with an icy resolve. The game was no longer about chasing phantoms. It was about confronting the architect, The journey to the penthouse boardroom felt like a walk through a gauntlet. Each floor ascended brought you closer to the precipice. The city lights stretched out below, a glittering tapestry of lives unknowingly manipulated by the very individual you were about to expose. The air in the elevator was thick with unspoken tension. Miller's presence a silent bulwark against the storm brewing within you. When the doors parted, the room was already a tableau of concern. High ceilings, polished mahogany, and a panoramic view of the city. A stage perfectly set for a betrayal of this magnitude. Around the long, gleaming table sat several high-ranking officials, their faces etched with a mixture of confusion and apprehension. And there, at the head of the table, impeccably dressed, a picture of calm authority, sat the chief prosecutor. Their eyes, sharp and intelligent, met yours across the room, a flicker of something unreadable in their depths. "Dean," the chief prosecutor began, their voice smooth, carefully modulated. "What is the meaning of this urgent summons? We were informed there was a critical development regarding the Obsidian Group. You walked to the head of the table, not taking a seat, but standing. Your presence a stark challenge. Your eyes never left the chief prosecutors." The room held its breath, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. "There is," you confirmed, your voice resonating with an unyielding clarity. "A critical development indeed. The operative who escaped the warehouse, the one responsible for erasing the critical data. Not just any key. A highly restricted identifier for government-level networks. A key that could only be legitimately possessed by a select few. Individuals with the power to orchestrate, to protect, to manipulate from within the very structures meant to uphold justice." The chief prosecutor's expression remained unperturbed, a mask of practiced composure. "And what does this fragment reveal, Dean?" they asked, their tone unwavering, almost patronizing. You leaned forward slightly, your voice dropping, yet gaining an intensity that commanded the room. "It reveals the architect, chief prosecutor, the true mastermind behind the Obsidian Group. It reveals you." A collective gasp rippled through the room. Faces turned, eyes wide with shock, disbelief, and a dawning horror. The mask had finally fallen. The game, you knew, had just truly begun. Your gaze, unwavering, locks onto the chief prosecutor, whose smile, a slow, predatory stillness, is a final, defiant flourish. The mask has fallen indeed, revealing a cold, calculating glint in their eyes, a stark landscape of ambition and deceit. The game, you knew, had just begun its final brutal round. A colleague standing beside you shifts their weight, a silent anchor in the storm brewing. The other faces in the room, the bewildered junior staff, the impassive security detail, blur at the periphery of your vision. All that matters is the figure across the polished mahogany table, radiating an almost imperceptible aura of control, even now. The Obsidian Group. Your voice cuts through the sudden hush, each word a chisel against stone. A network woven from corporate data, political influence, and silent assassinations. The encrypted communications, the shell corporations, the financial transfers. Every thread leading back to the same nexus. You slide it across the table, its journey a silent accusation. And to you. A flicker, almost imperceptible, crosses the prosecutor's features, a tiny tremor in their carefully constructed facade. "Elias Thorne," you continue, your voice gaining momentum, discovered the extent of your operations. He found the back door you created in the very security system he designed for this building, a system you boasted was impenetrable. He was going to expose you. So, you silenced him. The prosecutor scoffs lightly, a breath of disdain. The locked room? An impossible feat for anyone but the victim himself. An illusion, you counter, masterfully crafted. Thorne wasn't murdered in that penthouse suite. He was poisoned hours earlier, a slow-acting agent designed to mimic a heart attack, triggered remotely. The locked room was a stage, set by a member of your security detail, who, under your instruction, ensured the apartment appeared sealed from the inside after Thorne's body had been placed and the poison activated. They then used the very same security bypass Thorne uncovered to exit unseen. We found the residual traces of the agent in the ventilation system, a signature that matches a forgotten pharmaceutical patent, once owned by a defunct subsidiary of one of your shell companies. A perfect, untraceable weapon, until we started looking for the untraceable. Now for Sarah Vance. The chief prosecutor's eyes flicker again, a fraction more pronounced this time. It is the first genuine chink in their armor. 15 years ago, he was close to uncovering the nascent stages of the Obsidian Group. He had traced the initial data manipulations, the quiet acquisitions. He was a journalist, relentless, brilliant. You push another piece of evidence across. A faded photograph of a young, vibrant woman, her eyes full of life, a stark contrast to the sterile boardroom. You didn't want her reporting on it. You lured her, promising an exclusive, then a disappearance. No body, no evidence. The prosecutor's voice is low, a deceptive purr, trying to regain control. We found it. Your colleague interjects, their voice steady, holding a tablet. The digital signature on the encrypted message that lured Sarah Vance to her final meeting. It matches the same unique encryption key used in the Obsidian Group's internal communications, a key that only a handful of individuals, including yourself, could generate. And the location of her disappearance, an abandoned warehouse by the docks, was recently purchased by one of your shell corporations, then immediately demolished and rebuilt into a data storage facility. We found the soil anomalies, the forensic traces beneath the new concrete slab. The ground tells its own stories, given enough time and the right listener. Your eyes bore into the prosecutor, refusing to yield. She didn't just disappear. You buried her, metaphorically and literally, beneath your empire. Her final resting place, a monument to your ambition, a silent grave under a gleaming facade. The prosecutor's composure finally cracks, irrevocably. A muscle twitches violently in their jaw, their lips thinning into a venomous line. You have nothing but circumstantial. We have a confession. You interrupt, pointing to a small, almost invisible device embedded in the lapel of your colleague's jacket, from the security detail member who planted Thorne's body and, years ago, helped dispose of Sarah Vance's remains. They believed they were acting under lawful orders, until they saw your true face. They've been cooperating for the past 48 hours, providing every detail, every command you issued. The boardroom doors burst open, uniformed officers flooding in, their movements swift and decisive. The chief prosecutor, for the first time, looks genuinely stunned, then furious, a raw, exposed rage. This is an outrage. I demand legal counsel. You'll have it, a senior officer states, placing a hand firmly on the prosecutor's shoulder. After you've been processed. As the chief prosecutor is led away, their eyes, now devoid of calculation, fix on you, holding a venomous promise of retribution. But you meet it, unflinching. You turn to your colleague. The Obsidian Group? Operations crippled. Key players identified and already being apprehended across the globe. The data chip you provided was the final piece. It's over, Dean, for now. A hand claps your shoulder, a shared weight lifted, a silent acknowledgement of the battle won. You walk to the panoramic window, overlooking the city that now seems both smaller and infinitely more complex. The sun, a pale disk, begins its descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and bruised purple. 15 years. The ache in your chest is still there, a phantom limb, but it is no longer a gaping wound. It is a scar, a testament to a battle fought and, against all odds, won. The personal cost? The sleepless nights? The relationships strained? The cynicism ingrained deep within your bones? But also, a sense of purpose. a truth unveiled. You glance back at the empty space where the chief prosecutor once stood, the symbol of a system corrupted. The exposure of the Obsidian Group will send tremors through the highest echelons, a stark reminder that even the most deeply entrenched power can be brought to its knees. The system is shaken, yes, but not entirely broken. It will heal slowly, painfully, and perhaps with a renewed vigilance. Your future, once a tunnel of relentless pursuit, now stretches out, vast and undefined. The weight of the world still rests on your shoulders, but a specific crushing burden has been lifted. The city lights begin to twinkle below, a million tiny promises in the deepening twilight. You breathe, a full, deep breath, tasting the clean, crisp air of a new dawn.